Okay, so before we even say hello today, I want to try something. Zach, can you say something really fast for me?
Sure. Okay, ready? Hey, so what's up? Welcome back. Have you ever been talking to someone and just realized you've understood absolutely nothing?
Perfect. Now, if you're a native English speaker, you probably caught most of that. But if you're learning English, you heard sounds, maybe a word here and there, and your brain did that thing where it just gave up trying to keep up.
And the worst part isn't even missing the words. The worst part is what comes next. That person stops talking, they look at you, and they're waiting for a response.
And you have about 2 seconds to say something, anything, before the silence becomes awkward. And in those 2 seconds, your brain is completely on fire trying to process what just happened.
Welcome to Easily Speak English, everyone. And welcome to today's topic. Because if that little experiment just made your heart beat slightly faster, you are exactly the right person for this episode.
Today, we are talking about one of the most real, most stressful, most relatable situations every English learner faces. What do you actually do when someone speaks English too fast and you have no idea what they just said?
Not the textbook answer, not the polite theory, the real, practical, actually useful answer. And we have a lot to say about this, so let's not waste a single second. Quick thing before we dive in, hit subscribe on Easily Speak English if you haven't already. New episode every week, real topics, real English, real help. Okay, let's go.
So, I want to start somewhere that most English lessons never start. I want to start with the feeling, because I think a lot of people carry shame around this situation. And I want to talk about that honestly before we talk about solutions.
Good call. Because the shame is part of the problem. Actually, I'd say the shame makes the whole situation worse than it needs to be.
Right. So, when someone speaks too fast and you don't understand, what is the first emotion that hits you? For most people, it isn't just confusion, it's embarrassment. It's that sinking feeling of, I should understand this. Why don't I understand this? What's wrong with me?
And then, because of that embarrassment, people do something really interesting. Instead of saying, sorry, could you say that again? Which is the obvious, logical thing to do, they nod, they smile, they say, yeah, or or oh, right. And they have absolutely no idea what was just said.
Guilty. I've done this. Have you done this? Write honestly in the comments. Have you ever pretended to understand English when you actually had no idea what was said? Because I promise you are in the majority here. This is one of the most universal English learner experiences in the world.
And look, in the moment, it feels like the safe choice. Nodding and smiling feels safer than admitting you didn't understand. But here's what actually happens when you do that. The conversation continues, and now you're lost. And every new thing the person says builds on what you missed. And within about 30 seconds, you are completely at sea with no idea what's being discussed.
And then, if they ask you a direct question, which they will, the nod and smile strategy completely falls apart. Because now you have to respond to something you genuinely did not catch at all.
So the fake understanding strategy, it feels safe. It is actually a trap.
And here's the thing I really want people to hear. Asking someone to repeat themselves or slow down is not a sign of weakness. It is not embarrassing. It is a completely normal part of communication, even between native speakers, even between highly educated professionals. People ask for clarification all the time. It's normal.
Honestly, that's worth saying again. Even native English speakers ask each other to repeat things. When there's background noise, when someone mumbles, when a topic is complicated.
So here's something we want to establish right away. Not all fast English is the same, and not all I didn't understand situations are the same either. There are actually three distinct situations that feel similar but need slightly different responses.
Oh, I love that you're breaking it down like this. Go ahead.
Okay, situation one. You heard the words, but they came too fast, and your brain couldn't process them in time. The information went in, but your brain didn't have enough time to make sense of it. This is a speed problem.
Situation 2.
You heard the words, you had enough time, but there were specific words in there you simply don't know. Vocabulary gaps. The speed wasn't the issue, the words themselves were unfamiliar. This is a vocabulary problem.
Situation 3, and this one is interesting. You actually understood most of it, but one key part, maybe a name, a number, a date, a specific detail, you missed that one thing. And because you missed that one piece, the whole message doesn't make complete sense. This is a detail problem.
And the reason this matters is because your response should actually be different depending on which situation you're in. If it's a speed problem, you ask them to slow down or repeat. If it's a vocabulary problem, you ask them to explain a specific word. If it's a detail problem, you confirm what you understood and ask only about the missing piece.
Exactly. And most English courses just teach you, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? For every situation, which works, but it's not always the most efficient or the most natural response. Real English communication is more specific than that.
Here's a question. Which of those 3 situations happens to you most often? Speed problem, vocabulary problem, or detail problem? Think about it genuinely, because knowing your personal pattern is actually the first step to solving it. Write your answer in the comments. I'm curious what the majority of our listeners say.
I'll say for me personally, it's almost always situation 1, the speed. I can usually understand English when it's clear and measured, but the moment someone is talking fast in a casual conversation, especially with contractions running together, I lose it quickly. For me, it's situation 3. I understand the main idea, but I miss specific details. And then I feel awkward because I almost understood. It's not like I'm completely lost, but I can't confirm the specific piece I need. Which is actually harder in some ways because you feel like you should know. You were so close. Exactly. Okay, so let's now go through real phrases and real strategies for each situation. And these are phrases you can genuinely use in any conversation, starting today.
All right, situation 1. Someone spoke too fast. You heard sounds, but your brain couldn't process the meaning quickly enough. What do you actually say?
The most natural, most commonly used phrase in real English is simply, sorry, could you say that again? That's it. Clean, polite, universally understood. Nobody in the world thinks less of you for saying that.
And you can make it even softer if you want to sound extra polite. Sorry, I missed that. Could you say it again? The I missed that part is really natural. It frames it as your ears not catching it, not as your English being bad.
Another really good one. Sorry, could you slow down a little? My English is still improving. That honesty, my English is still improving, is actually really well received by most people. It's genuine. It gives context, and most people immediately adjust and speak more clearly when they know you're a learner.
And here's a more casual version for less formal conversations. Whoa, that was fast. Can you say that one more time? The whoa makes it light and almost friendly. It takes the tension out of the moment.
Oh, I love that one. It turns an awkward moment into almost a small shared laugh. Because the other person often goes, oh, sorry, yes, of course. And suddenly the dynamic completely shifts from tense to relaxed.
Now, situation 2. You heard everything, but there's a word you don't know. This one is really important because a lot of learners stay silent here when they have no reason to.
The phrase that works best here is, sorry, what does mean? Just name the word. Sorry, what does invoice mean? Sorry, what does estimate mean? Direct, clear, takes about 2 seconds to say.
And if you're not sure which word you missed, if the whole sentence had unfamiliar words, you can say, I understood most of that, but could you explain what you mean by? You're telling them you were paying attention and following along. You just need one clarification.
There's also a really good phrase for this situation. Could you put that a different way? That one's brilliant because it doesn't ask the person to repeat the same thing, which won't help if the issue is vocabulary. It asks them to rephrase, to use different words. And usually simpler words come out naturally when someone rephrases. Oh, that's a really underrated phrase. Could you put that a different way? I think a lot of learners don't know this one, and it is
Okay, so we've covered the phrases, but I want to zoom out for a second because I think there's something bigger worth talking about here.
Go for it.
Why is fast English so hard? Like, we all know it's hard, but do we actually understand why? Because I think when you understand the real reason, something clicks and it changes how you approach the problem.
Okay, I'm curious what you think the real reason is.
So, when native English speakers talk at normal speed, they do something called connected speech. Words don't come out one by one, they blend together. Sounds disappear, words merge. Want to becomes wanna. Going to becomes gonna. Do you becomes ja. Did you eat becomes did you eat. It's not laziness, it's just how natural fast speech works in English.
And for a learner, this is genuinely hard because you learned the words in their clean, separate forms. Do you want to? And then real speech arrives and it sounds completely different from what you studied. It sounds like a different language almost.
Exactly. And the solution to this, the long-term solution, is exposure. Listening to lots of natural, real, native speed English. Not just learning materials, not just slow, clear podcast English, but real conversations, real TV shows, real videos of real people talking. Over time, your brain starts to recognize the patterns in connected speech. It's like learning a code. At first, connected speech sounds like noise, but the more you hear it, the more your brain starts recognizing, oh, gonna means going to, wanna means want to, didya means did you. The patterns become familiar, and familiar patterns are processed faster. And here's the encouraging part. This is purely a question of exposure and time. It is not a question of talent. It is not a question of intelligence. Everyone's brain, given enough exposure, starts to recognize these patterns. It just takes time and consistent listening. And in the meantime, while your brain is still building those patterns, that's exactly why today's phrases matter. They buy you time. They keep the conversation going. They get you the information you need. They are your bridge between where you are now and where you're going. That's a beautiful way to put it, actually. The phrases are a bridge. I thought you'd like that. Write something in the comments for me. Tell us one situation where fast English really got you. Where were you? What happened? And what did you do? I bet the stories are going to be amazing. We love reading them more than you know.
Okay, we've got the phrases, we've got the understanding of why fast English is hard, and we've talked about exposure. Let's close with 3 specific habits that, if you actually build them, will genuinely change how you handle fast English within weeks. Not years, weeks. Habit 1, train your ear every single day, even 10 minutes. Put on a YouTube video of native English speakers having a casual conversation. Don't worry about understanding everything. Just listen. Let the sounds wash over you. You're not trying to translate. You're training your ear to find patterns in natural speech. The key is casual, natural speech, not learning videos, not slow, clear English. The kind of English where people are laughing, interrupting each other, talking over each other. That messiness is what real English sounds like. And the more you hear it, the less frightening it becomes. Habit 2, practice your clarification phrases out loud. Not just read them, say them. Say, sorry, could you slow down a little? Say, sorry, what does that mean? Say, could you put that a different way? Say them until they feel completely natural in your mouth. Because in a real conversation, under pressure, you don't have time to remember a phrase. It has to come automatically. This is so important. The phrases only work if they're already in your mouth. If you have to think about them, it takes too long and the moment passes awkwardly. Practice them when there's no pressure so they're ready when there is. Habit 3, and this is maybe the most important one. Stop punishing yourself for not understanding. Every time you get frustrated or embarrassed about missing something in English, that negative emotion creates a tiny bit more anxiety around English conversation. And anxiety makes comprehension worse. It's a cycle that slowly builds over time. So instead of, I'm so bad at this, try, I'm still building this skill. Instead of, I should have understood that, try,
That was genuinely fast, and asking for clarification was the right move. The internal story you tell yourself about your English directly affects how your brain performs in English situations. That might sound like soft advice, but there is genuinely real psychology behind it. Learners who approach mistakes and misunderstandings with curiosity rather than shame improve measurably faster than learners who approach them with embarrassment. This is documented. This is real. And honestly, every single person listening to this right now is already doing something that takes real courage. Listening to a podcast in your second language, trying to improve, showing up. That is not nothing. That is actually everything.
All right, let's land this plane because we've covered a lot of real ground today, and I want to make sure it all sticks.
We started by being honest about the shame and embarrassment that comes with not understanding fast English. And we said clearly that shame is not justified. Asking for clarification is normal. It's human. It's actually good communication.
Then we broke down the 3 different situations: speed problem, vocabulary problem, and detail problem, and gave you specific phrases for each one. Not one-size-fits-all answers, real specific tools.
Then we talked about why fast English is hard: connected speech, blending, contractions, and how exposure over time genuinely rewires your brain's ability to process it.
And we finished with 3 habits: daily ear training with natural speech, practicing clarification phrases out loud until they're automatic, and changing the internal story you tell yourself about your English.
Here's what I really want you to take from today. The next time someone speaks too fast, don't freeze, don't nod and pretend, don't disappear into embarrassment. Use your bridge phrase. Slow the conversation down, get what you need, and keep going.
You have every right to understand the conversation you're in. Never forget that.
If today's episode added something real to your English journey, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe to Easily Speak English for a new real episode every single week. And leave us a comment. Tell us your story, your questions, your favorite phrase from today. We are genuinely here and we genuinely read everything.
Thank you for spending this time with us today. Truly, we don't take it lightly that you choose to learn with us. Keep going. Every single day you are getting better, even when it doesn't feel like it. Take good care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.